Hola humans, Tredel the Lambert here, and I usually show you my digital process, so I was like, why don't I show you a physical one? So I made this out of the new markers I got. I haven't used markers in so long, and I think it came out pretty decent compared to what I thought it would be. Last time I tried to use markers, it did not go well. That was a while ago though, and since then I've just been using like stuff to tone, so like grayscale markers. But I got 120 freaking hoo-hoo markers. I like their sketchbooks, so I got this. Not sponsored, but if they want to, freaking hit your boy up. But I got a bunch of colors, and the more colors I get, the happier I am, so I'm psyched about that. And honestly, I've been using a lot of like acrylic markers recently, so it was good to get back into the alcohol-based markers, and it's such a different effect. So I want to take you guys through basically the whole color process, and yeah, I just thought it'd be a fun thing to show off. So let me share the screen. So this is where I started. This is where I started with it. He is inked. And then everything else is in pencil, but I kept it there, so obviously you can still see it. Oh geez, I didn't erase anything. Let me just get, there we go. So the character is basically an alternate version or a future version or a possible future version of my main character Sethos from my comic book. Because I can't think of just the story, I have to think of way ahead. Have been thinking about what arc he goes on 5 arcs prior, and one of them includes Norse mythology and the world tree. So, and Norse mythology is so fun to me, so I was like, it would be a perfect place to put him. Am I gonna do that? I don't know, but so far my process, I ink the character pretty basic because I'm not gonna add cross hatching and all that if I know I'm going to fully color it. At least not for this piece. It really depends. I have some things where I would do that, but let's see the first pass. So we go from no color, just line work, to the initial base. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm covering what the majority of his skin would look like, and because it's marker, and I said I'm only going to use marker, I'm not going to use like white ink or anything, I'm treating it almost like a watercolor project, and I'm leaving just white space for either lighter colors or highlights. And yeah, no, I don't end up using any ink in it, which is a good way to do highlights, but honestly a lot of white ink pens don't work as well as one would like. I think using a nice acrylic base, like a acrylic marker, works a lot better. Personally, you get better coverage, but I don't know, to each his own. And then for this one I really just wanted to use marker, and then from this I added light and dark colors. So if you see here, you have shadow. Oh, let me turn that down a little bit. You have your shadow, you have your base color, I guess mid-tone, and then light, and then the white, that's just the highlight color. And there's a lot of highlights because, as you can see over here, that's the light source, it's an eye. But if someone can guess whose eye this is, let me know in the comments. Might send you something cool, like a print of this, or a print of some of my other work. But I already gave away the hint because the world tree's in the background. I used 4 markers to get this done. The thing about markers is you gotta have a lot of colors, in my opinion, to get what you want, if you're just strictly wanting to use markers. I have my watercolor palette here, and there's like a decent amount of colors. I bought a bigger watercolor palette that I haven't opened yet that I really want to use. Maybe I'll do another video like this and show you guys my process there with that one. But my watercolor stuff, if I'm gonna show it off, is nowhere near as vibrant as that, and I don't know how to get vibrant. I hope I'm showing it right. I don't know how to get as vibrant there. I gotta clean up my space. Everything's falling everywhere. I don't know how to get as vibrant as that with watercolors, which I'm sure there are a way. I follow a few people that do watercolor drawings who it's absolutely beautiful, and I'm not a master of watercolor yet, and maybe it's the palettes or the specific paints or something, but yeah. Anyways, next step. Oh, I did quite a leap. I think I forgot to I did this a little bit ago, not like but like earlier, and I definitely forgot to a step or two. But basically I did the same thing where I pick a base color like that, and then I pick a light color, a lighter color, and a dark color, and that usually conveys shadow and light pretty well. And then with the gold I did the same thing here. I think it's 3 colors in total. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe. And then he has bandages on this arm, and for the eye, it's nice and bright. I made sure to cast the bright colors onto, see, it's on the gold, it's on him, it's in his hair, all the way over here. And because he is holding metal items, they're highly reflective, so they're going to catch on here even if they're far away. That's him. I think he's pretty much finished, and mostly it's going to be the background from here on, but it's just about, I don't really do too much blending personally. I really just kind of do the shapes, and I like that vibe. And if they're close enough, they're going to look blended from further. But I think it shows the form pretty well, right? And then honestly, if you want to do, this was done pretty quickly, but if you want to do more work into it, you can blend alcohol markers. But I've never been good at that. I've always tried, and it's always looked muddy and like someone just kind of smudged the page. I don't know how to master that yet, but I'm going to keep on working. I got all these markers, so I'm going to keep on working and see what I can do. And then, so from this, I do the color of the foreground. I completely colored this well, and using the same technique as I did for the character. And then what I did for the trees is I outlined everything. And then everything that wouldn't be shown, I did, pretty sure, yeah, it's not black, I'm pretty sure it's just a really dark brown. And that's all in the foreground. So I know, and then I colored it in a way that I know that, like, that's going to be dark and that's going to be light type deal, because this is dividing it. And when you shade, you always want to keep light in mind, and then you want to wrap it over like that, like a actual 3D image. Unless you have a particularly 2D style. Well, this is a 2D style. It's not very 3D, but unless you have like a flat, like paper mache-esque style, then that's kind of more or less what you want to do. So I went and I filled in everywhere that I thought should be dark, and like over here, there's a good example. What I do is, well, kind of for the tree texture, but also because I don't want this to completely be light. It's kind of like almost cross-hatching. This is the whole color, and then where the white is going to be a lighter color, but this color is still here, so it looks more like a gradual transition, especially when which is, I think, a little important, especially when I'm not trying to blend it all. And then next, so here I put in the lighter colors, and I did do some blending here, I tried, and then after that, I put in even lighter colors here, and mostly to reflect the color of the eye, and all the light that the tree would be catching. And in the background, I needed the base color, and then you see at the end of every branch is a light. Those are going to be like the different realms of the world tree, right? But it goes dark, and then it goes light as it goes up. I didn't have a great transition color for over here, and in my opinion, it's too abrupt, but I didn't know what to do about that. I tried to, if you look closely, like especially here, I tried to do some blending. I tried to maybe do some more abstract lines, thinking that it might, you know, bridge a transition, but I needed a better solution, if I'm going to be honest, and I didn't really find one. Unless I did, let's go to the next one. But I didn't find one, and that's the trouble I have with markers, because with paint you can mix whatever you want, whether it's watercolors, acrylic, whatever paint, but markers, it's a little tougher to do that. And that's what I have trouble with on acrylic markers too. The colors you got are the colors you got, and it's a little worse because you can't really blend acrylic markers. At least I haven't seen anybody do that. So yeah, acrylic markers are a little rough, but they're good for what they're good for, you know. In the same sketchbook, I was doing a sketch of a character that I always draw because I like I like the character, and then I did this, right? And I think it's pretty good for what it is. I had enough green colors to fill everything in, and it is very much like cell shaded look, because that's what you can do. So it has its ups and its downs. I think that's very like graphic, and ooh, it would work for that particular project, but it really depends. If you want to get a little more real, paint's the way to go. And I think what are these, alcohol markers are kind of in between the two. And then this is the next one. This is me filling in the tree, darks first, and then with the light purple color, because they're I'm kind of keeping the atmosphere in mind, because the further back you go, the more purple it is, because the whole environment's purple. Honestly, if I was going to do this again, I would have done a little bit of a mid-ground somewhere over here before I straight go into the tree, but honestly, I made the foreground a little too big. I don't think it matters that much, but just if I'm giving myself a critique, that's probably what I'd do. But it's going in. And again, if I'm giving myself a critique, I would shade behind this axe a little more and this hand, because honestly, they're almost the same color. So if you guys are going to go and do marker drawings, just keep that in mind, that you want things to pop out a bit. So just putting some dark over here would make it pop a lot more. But I think your eye very much does go to the focal point, which is right there, which is what you really got to do when it comes to something. But it's just good to keep your subjects on different planes, like 1 on its own, 2 on its own, 3 on its own, 4 on its own. So they're very much ahead, and don't hide anything unless it's meant to hide something, because you could use fun tricks with shadows if you do that. But all right, let's go to the last one. Boom, there you go. So for this last one, I filled in, whoops, what did I do? I filled in the wood color here. Again, giving myself critique, I think I would have gone one more color. And then over here, I have the realms. So that's probably like Helheim or something like that. And then the further you go, you don't see the whole tree here, but the further you go up the tree, the further you'd have your 9 different realms going up. And I feel like, personally, I interpret the realms as worlds in and of themselves. So if you look, there's this big kind of mountainous thing, and then it has like moons and different things like that. And then you go over here, and then this is probably the ice giant world. I don't remember which ones were which, or if I had any in mind, but then you have a whole little system just there, full of it. That way, I think there's so much more to discover in like the Norse realm. I think that's just cooler as far as ideas go. And I think if you go to the like what we have of the original text, they mention different things on different planes of Yggdrasil. So it's like there's 9 realms, but there's a bunch of realms within the realms. So I think that's cool and should be explored a little more. It's very cookie cutter. We go here, we go here, we're here, done. So I think the 9 realms should be a little bigger than they are, because a realm full of the same person, it's very like the same thing. It doesn't make any sense, I don't think. But that's kind of what you have to do for like stuff like that, because you go to like Star Wars. Tatooine is a whole desert planet. That doesn't make much sense, right? Hoth is a whole ice planet. Come on, what are we doing? What's the moon that they fight on? Yavin? Is it Yavin? Or might be another one. Anyways, it's all forest, all of it. It doesn't make any sense, right? Our world isn't just one thing. It differs greatly no matter where you go. Like outside, right now, this much snow. Friggin' all the snow in the world. Drive a plane for 2 hours, no snow at all. If I want to, could be in a lava location in a few hours. Not a few hours, but you know what I mean. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Anyways, that's my marker drawing process. I went from this to this, and all it took were less than 120 markers. So let me know if you have any cool techniques for marker drawing that I don't know, like for example how one would blend that right there without just having more markers. And yeah, how do you do it? Let me know. And if you want to see any more either processes for my acrylic work or my watercolor, or if you've been following for a while and know what specific character you want to see me draw, let me know. Or if you just want me to draw a character in fiction or in mythology and explain it while I'm drawing it, or while I show you the process, let me know that too, because that's something I've always been thinking about doing. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what else I can do, what else you want me to show off. I write, if you want to know my writing process and how I go about that. I've been doing some short stories recently. So yeah, let me know. Like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff we're supposed to do. And yeah, peace out. Have a beautiful day, guys.